first question is, why did you choose to meet here in the 2-4 Lounge, and how is this representative of you as a student and a candidate?
That's a very interesting question. Excuse me. I enjoy the 2-4 Lounge just because it's very sort of chill atmosphere, but you can also get your work done and stuff like that. Exam time, midterm time, maybe not so much. It gets pretty busy in here, but I just enjoy when I'm studying, for example, sitting at a table and laboring over my work. I like to be in a comfortable position when I'm reading ratings, doing my essays, and all that sort of stuff. So I guess that sort of balance, between all that sort of stuff, just ensuring that I'm not stressing out too much. So it's this that balance. It's sort of a convoluted answer, but I didn't really expect that question. So.
Okay, what are the roles and limitations of a Lucy president, and how has this figured into the promises you've made in your platform?
Right. Basically, when I was setting out to do my platform, I had 3 general tests. The first one is, generally this thing can be done in just a total general sense, that it can be done. And the next test was whether this can be done by the president. And in that final test, and most important test, was whether this can be done by the president and it was a priority for the president. And I believe each and everything that's within my platform meets those criteria. So beyond that, talk about the governance structure and the limitations of the president. Obviously, we have a corporate structure, the policy governance structure, wherein the board is keeping the president accountable, and making sure the board sets out that general vision, and the president is expected to carry it out without doing some executive limitations, right? So things that are not allowed to do to finish that. But the interesting thing with our system is that we have an elected president, so they have a little bit of a mandate to get things done. So like I talked about, my platform addresses that sort of thing too. So that balance between the board and the president is certainly there, and certainly I think my platform, my demeanor, my experience certainly demonstrates a knowledge of the presidential role.
Okay. Aside from the goal of representing and serving students, why would you like to be president?
Well, I actually didn't really think of it much beyond that. I guess I'm not sure if I'm really answering beyond that, but I just say that I've enjoyed every single experience I've had, Laurie. Obviously, there's have days that you're not the best in the world. Everyone has that. But ever since I stepped foot on this campus, even before I came to this campus, I just had a really good feeling about Laurier, and I've never been disappointed. So I just really enjoy the fact that I can give myself an opportunity to give back. And I know I'm just sort of answering the question that you wanted me to avoid, but I think it's just a combination of that and the fact that I think I'd be good in the role, and that's really what drove me. So I apologize for not necessarily answering your question, but really that's the only thing I kind of think about. I mean, there's other things you think about too in a general sense, but the actual ones that made me make the decision were those. So.
All right. What's your most ambitious goal in your platform?
There isn't necessarily one particular concrete thing, but it's the most ambitious theme, I guess I should say, is basically getting the student union back to its basics, representing the students and making sure we're standing up for students, and ensuring that we regard the relationship with the university as a means to an end, not simply an end in of itself. We've been too concerned in the past with damaging the relationship with the university. And I'm not saying that I want to be, antagonistic, that I want to, poke holes all the time in every single opportunity. Being professional, doing things in good faith is what I stand for. But I also know that simply lying down and let the university do walk all over us, is not serving students. And unfortunately, we've gotten into that sort of psyche. We do really good things with services. We do run great businesses and have great volunteer opportunities. Always room for improvement. I outline that in my platform. But the biggest thing, the biggest theme that I have is advocacy on an internal level with the university and resetting our attitudes when it comes to that. So that's definitely the biggest thing. And biggest challenge It won't, completely change within 1 year, but I hopefully I'll set a very solid foundation for the next president coming in.
All right, and what do you think the biggest issue or problem is on this campus?
It depends to the student you ask, right? I mean, one very big theme is obviously internet, because that hits everybody at all times, and especially given the fact that learning is really moving online, that we're putting more and more resources online and stuff like that. So certainly internet's a big thing. The unfortunate part is the student union president has a role to play, but they also have to realize that we have a very interesting campus. There's a lot of concrete on this campus. There's very weird and old buildings that aren't really conducive to wireless internet, so that makes it very difficult to do and very, very expensive. With that said, we need to ensure as a student union that we're holding the feet to the fire of the university, but we also got to find short-term solutions as well to improve the reliability more so than anything else of internet, because if we're doing a quiz or something online, for example, and it cuts out, or I'm sending in my essay that I got done 5 minutes before it's due, and I'm sending it in and my internet cuts out, yeah, that's not going to help me out very much. So we need to ensure reliability is our first and foremost our priority, and I think I outlined that in my platform too. There's other sorts of ideas too. You talk about things like the dining hall, which is a big thing, especially first-year students, but also upper-year students. Upper-year students are subsidizing a failing business, and frankly, that cannot happen anymore. But I mean, safety we talked about too. But there's all sorts of issues, but I think those three are the biggest ones. So, student money, resources in the internet, and that's pretty big things for me.
How would you ensure Wolusi's spending is in line with students' best interests?
Yeah, I think it's just simply getting the student union back to basics. And when I say that, I'm saying that we have great services on campus, we have great volunteer opportunities, and we run a pretty good show with our businesses. Obviously, there's some room for improvement, but overall, we run pretty good businesses. But the biggest thing that we need to ensure is that we get back to basics when it comes to advocacy on an internal level with the university. And that is, consolidating and not making the union too big, essentially, taking on too much responsibility. Because first and foremost, if we're not, meeting our obligations as standing up for students with the university, we're not really being an effective union, and that's my biggest concern that we've been lacking.
Yeah, exactly.
When it comes to internal spending, we need to just better prioritize our money. I think the restructuring with management that we recently had puts us in a good spot moving forward. Support with full-time staff, but also moving committees that are great committees and do great things, but they would work a lot better as clubs. Things like that would certainly help. But in a general sense, when we're talking about things like capital expenditures, talking about things like the terrace expansion that happened, we need to ensure better communication with the board. Excuse me, and respecting the new executive limitation that come out with quarterly updates, monthly updates, to ensure that the students know what's going on, the board knows what's going on, and the president and management therefore can be held accountable for what they're doing. So that's the biggest thing. A lot of the framework is in place, but it's about getting the psychology back about our student union and ensuring that we are constantly updating our accountability mechanisms, because we'll never be perfect, and I think students are reasonable about that, but we need to always be improving, and I think that's